After back-to-back summers of wildfires, air quality warnings and drought, Canada's Prime Minister is under pressure to address how he plans to deal with climate change. So, Ottawa has 5 years to meet its 2030 climate commitment to cut emissions by 40% below 2005 levels. But most experts say we are not on track to make that happen. For a closer look, I am joined by Simon Donner, professor and climate scientist at the University of British Columbia and co-chair of the Net Zero Advisory Body. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How far along are we in meeting our 2030 climate targets?
Well, Canada has made some fairly good progress under the last government. The emissions are currently, according to the most recent data, which is from up to 2023, emissions are 8% below the 2005 level that we use as a baseline. That's real progress, particularly in a big country where the population's increasing. So we have done something, but we have a long ways to go to that target of a 40% reduction by 2030. And right now, we've removed the consumer carbon price, and we need to really strengthen all these other policies to help us get there.
When the Prime Minister took office, Simon, one of his first decisions was to cut the consumer carbon tax, as you mentioned. What does his track record on environmental policy look like so far?
Well, I mean, so far, all we've seen is the removal of the consumer-based carbon price. But there are a whole suite of other climate policies out there, and we're waiting to see what the Prime Minister is going to do with all of them. I will say that, in his past, before being in government, this is somebody who takes climate change and clean growth really seriously. So there is some promise. The question just is, are they going to work to tighten the policies that exist and to add complementary ones? We just don't know quite yet.
And then we know that the Prime Minister has signaled his interest in things like pipelines and passed that bill to fast-track some major infrastructure projects across the country. What does that signal to you, if anything?
Well, I think like a lot of Canadians, given the pressure from the U.S., I'm quite sympathetic to the Build Canada agenda. The same would be true of all of the members of our advisory body. We advise the federal government, the Minister of the Environment on these issues. My big concern is that the conversation around what the projects are going to be has focused almost entirely on pipelines. But there are a whole suite of other projects that really align with the agenda that was there when Build Canada was announced, to focus on clean growth, things that are going to expand our electricity grid, get more clean electricity onto the grid, and really, help communities across the country be ready for this sort of low carbon economy of the future.
I want to ask you more about that. So what advice would you have? I mean, what steps would you take and advise this government to improve our emissions reductions?
Well, there's a couple different directions to go. One of them is we got to take the existing sort of climate policy architecture, and we've just got to tighten it. It's been somewhat effective so far, but it's not working exactly as intended. So we have this industrial pricing system. It could be the workhorse of climate policy in Canada, but it needs to be strengthened. And we've been putting that message out to the government, and obviously in forums like this as well. But in addition to that, we need complementary policies. Things are going to get us helping people switch to electric vehicles and making it affordable, switch to heat pumps and making it affordable, and things like that.
What happens if we don't meet our targets?
Well, these targets are our own choices. We chose this 2030 target, and so there's no international penalty if we don't meet it. However, the risk is that Canada gets left behind as the world is shifting to this sort of low carbon economy of the future. Despite everything we hear from the U.S. and the Trump administration taking a step back in climate action, the story is different in the rest of the planet, whether we're talking about Asia, whether we're talking about Europe. People are charging ahead to shifting to electric vehicles and to shifting to renewable forms of energy, solar, wind, batteries. They're all getting cheaper, and they're all being rolled out in other parts of the world. And so the risk is, if Canada doesn't do this, it's not just about climate, it's about the economy. We need to set Canada up to be successful in the low carbon economy of the future.
Professor and climate scientist Simon Donner, thanks for your time.
Thanks so much.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.